for later reference. Right, so yes. So today is rather an auspicious day for us to be gathering together to do this work because based on the Mayan 13 moon calendar today, which is July 25th, is known as the Day Out of Time. And on this day, people of all cultures, particularly the indigenous cultures all around the world, celebrate and honour the universal cycle of eternal time. So we step into, on this day every year, the space of timelessness and embrace the abundance that exists in the quantum field. And I've been feeling it all day. Like I said before, it's quite incredible. I had to walk the vineyard outside to get myself in my body enough to be here tonight. So, yeah, big day. So moving on, the sun's now moved into the flaming, passionate sign of Leo the lion, of which I'm one. And Leo is the sign of strength and creativity and the heart portal to the fifth dimensional field and further into the even higher dimensions. And Leo represents the solar source of life force on the planet, the very vitality pulsating in your heart. You know, in our hearts, it's that energy. And as we clear and purge the density and trauma, which has been shaken loose by the two very powerful eclipses we've just experienced, the month of Leo, or the season of Leo, ignites a real new sense of freedom and vibrancy. So, as you all have expressed, we're experiencing extreme shifts in the astral levels of Earth, and they're reflecting in the physical realm with massive planetary shifts and releases and expansions in the collective consciousness, in our consciousness, and really with incredible growth and progression towards earthbound liberation, which is what we all so long for, even if we don't realise that's what we're longing for. Yeah, as we have moved into another 6-planet retrograde at the moment, much of what normally feels like an uphill struggle or a heightening of intense sensations is beginning to do what it is designed to do in earnest. And that's to flush dense energy up to the surface for clearing. And that's individually and, you know, in the collective. And unlike many of these extreme retrogrades experienced in the past, this specific gateway has the privilege of being the first of its kind in our planetary ascension timeline. So it's pretty powerful stuff. So this hasn't happened in our lifetimes. And so we've been talking about for weeks with the eclipse. This is a very, very energetic period. And we're talking about waves of energy that are intensifying every month, well, every week, at any moment, in all the moments really, to a point where it reaches and will reach a critical mass. And this winter is a time when we sort of make it or break it, where we stand up and step into it or remain behind. And so by the time we get into spring and summer, we are meant to be in full creation mode, where we've left our old skin and moved into a new place. And the only way to do this is consciously, like we do when we gather here, and when we go and do our work on country and work with the energy grids. We're being asked once more to simply clear, and then clear some more. And it might be scary and it might be foreign, some of it. That's fine. That's expected. But it is time to accept that you all are creators and you're here now to do the things that are necessary to make this a reality. And as we move further along now, it's about making a conscious decision of identifying with ourselves and saying, honestly, I have this trait of character that I want to transmute into a higher version. It does not serve me anymore, nor the higher good of all. I'm done, and I'm done doing the consequences of this behavior, and I just want to shift it. And so then we need to talk to our ego, which will try to lie and project blame onto others. And you say to it, I get it. I get it. This is the place I was. It characterized who I was in the past or who I needed to be in the past. But now I choose to be no longer there. And then we take the steps, whatever they may be, do the healing, turn the mirror within at our own reflection of self. Excuse me. And I'll give you a little example, which I already shared with my Monday group. I was driving back up the mountain to come home the other day, and suddenly I was overwhelmed with this huge sense of grief. And I started to sob driving up this, precarious hairbend thing. I'm really sobbing. And the part of me, which I've worked on since to heal and release, said to me, this little voice said to me, oh, don't be stupid. You've got nothing to cry about. Wake up to yourself. Well, that's an old program that's running. And these are the sort of things that are coming up for us, this awareness of that little voice that's running these old programs to us. And so I was able to work on that the next day or so to clear that aspect that had presented itself to come up to go. And, there's obviously a lot more, but that was just one little example. And so, over the past, since the eclipses and during the eclipses, so for those of you that are very energetically sensitive, you would have felt the influxes of these sort of heightened electrical energy and maybe felt it as nervous energy or sort of an agitation. Some of you may not have slept very well if you're in that category. The last few nights, I can't say I've slept all that well. I've slept deeply, but I've woken up often. And I'm not saying that this Lionsgate portal is going to change your life forever, but it is opening up a gateway that will last for 6 or 7 months. That is beyond powerful. And it offers an energetic opportunity where you could really, truly, deeply change your life completely. But it's up to us to utilize the specific period between now and the 8th of August and put all our effort into removing the old, obsolete parts of our characters which are generating obstacles, and just clear the way. And also remember, every time you remove another layer of that which no longer serves you, you get another upgrade. You hold more light, which is what we've come here to be. And it all begins with an element of faith and the component of honestly assessing, looking at, and taking responsibility for the elements of our character that need to be released and transmuted at this time. And so what I'm trying to say is that there are parts of our character that no longer serve us, like that voice that picked on me for just being in that state, doesn't want me to express. Parts of our being, you know, the tears were a necessary process for whatever. I didn't particularly understand what that was about. But I also didn't need that little old program telling me to sit down and be quiet and stop crying, you're a big girl. That's an old program. But it's becoming aware of those as they're rising up instead of beating ourselves up. So the way that we interact with ourselves, the way that we interact with the world. And we need to realize that we almost victimize ourselves when we act in anger and project that onto others or onto ourselves. This is no longer subjective. This no longer serves us. And as I said, we victimize ourselves as whatever we project from a negative perspective is causing us to become the victims of this projection, even though we might be projecting it onto others. And we know, and you're probably experiencing, that karma is virtually instant now. And we are almost past the safety point, the point of grace, where it is now paramount to right the wrongs you've projected onto others, lest you receive the projection upon your own life. And we know this. And we know this. And you know, the majority of our lives we've been indulging in this behavior either consciously or subconsciously. And previously, you might have been able to get away with it, but no more. And we're at a stage today where we are presented with an opportunity to create. But the very action of creation, the creatorship we are to engage, does not coincide favorably with these sort of facets that are still running in the background. So it becomes, like I said, paramount to address these facets of our characters individually, whether it is on one end of the scale, which is victimhood, aggression, lack of responsibility, lack of true compassion, or on the other end of the scale, which is lack of self-love. And truly, it is showing up in the world in the way we interact with people and ourselves, and the way we create. So it's time to really begin believing in your ability to make positive change, engaging your guidance head on, and saying to your guides, I know you guys are here. I may not know exactly what you are or who you are, but I know you are here. And so then you just say, I ask you to open this channel between us once and for all and leave it open to me so I may access this higher knowledge. And we want to really make it clear that you don't want to play the push-pull game where, you know, we get a lot of communication and then as soon as you feel you've sort of gotten somewhere, it then backs off and we go back a little bit. We want to direct clear communication now rather than indirect. And you need to make it really clear to your guides, which I've been trying to do, that you have the clearing out of the old as a target. Because they're there to assist, you know, and if we say to them, look, this is what I want to achieve before the 8-8. You know, my target is to completely clear out whatever can possibly be transmuted. We can't afford to just sort of float around and expect it all to just happen without our intent, without a purpose, without a goal, and without taking action. And, You know, for the more that we can dissolve between now and the Lion's Gate, the more influx of light you will receive at the Lion's Gate. And it could potentially be the biggest moment in time, like a huge moment in time opportunity ever before felt or experienced for changing our lives forever. And that's just what's coming through. And as you know, the 8-8 Lion's Gate opens the hallway of time to ancient history when Syrian masters traveled to the earth and taught the principles of ascension. So let's get on with it. As the very honoured members of the galactic society that we are. And you know, one of the amazing synchronicities, which I love, and I get really excited about this stuff, as you know, we have our session tonight on the very auspicious date of the 25th of July, which is, as I mentioned, the day known as the day out of time, where we step into the space of timelessness and embrace the abundance that exists in the quantum field all around us. Funny enough, also the Lion's Gate on the 8th of the 8th also falls on our session night. And it will be our 8th week of the sessions. How cool is that? So we have, you know, we have the magnified 888 energy. Powerful. It's just exciting. It's just awesome. Okay, so